Sunreef yachts are really well known for building their high-volume cruising Powercats, but behind me here is the first of their new Ultima range. Now this is a much sportier yacht with some really interesting design features, and I'm going to talk you through it all and show you all around it. My name is Hugo Andreae, you're watching Motorboat and Yachting. Let's go and tour it. Now the first thing to point out is this is a really cool looking boat. It's a much lower, sleeker, more aggressive styling, and of course it's a much sportier drive too. We'll have a closer look at these platforms in a minute, but the first thing I wanted to point out is the hull itself. Now it is still very much a catamaran, but it's more than just a planing one. It does in fact use foils. You might just be able to see down there the two rear sort of stabilizing foils, and there is a much bigger one further forward. These are just little fins that stick out sideways from each hull, and there's a bigger one further forward, and that makes a huge difference to both performance and efficiency. Now there are various different power options. This one is fitted with IPS 800 drives, and that will give a top speed of around 38 knots. You can also get surface drives, which strangely I thought that was going to be quicker, but even with the same D8 engines, that's actually a top speed of 37 knots. But the reason they offer that is largely because it reduces the draft to under a metre. And people cruising around places like the Maldives or maybe in Miami and the likes, they quite often like to pull up to sandbars or low reefs, and having that really low draft, which you already get with the cruising catamaran, but with the surface drives too, it just means you can creep into little shallow areas that you might not get to with the deeper IPS pod drives. Now let's go on board and take a bit of a look. You see we've got a passerelle that extends out from here, and then this lovely big deck area. Now you'll notice that we've got the sun canopy out here, the awning, and with those balconies down, we've only got one of them down here, but you just get this enormous amount of space all the way around here. Two big sunbeds, effectively. You can see that the headrests tilt up, but that can all be shaded or all left open as you choose. Now, got good deep bulwarks on this side. When you see when the platform is up, this is well above waist height, and then you've got steps leading up to the foredeck. And I'm going to take you up here because you can get a better idea of what this boat looks like, and it is very cool indeed. So you'll notice straight away that the windscreen is reverse angle, and that gives it a really lean, aggressive look, sort of semi-adventure, but also because it's so low, really sporty. We've got a big sun pad here, a couple of cup holders either side, and then a big anchor locker. I'm not going to bother opening that, but just wanted to pop the camera over the top so you can see those aggressive sort of axe-shaped bows. So you notice that they sort of poke out. Their furthest forward point is halfway up, and then you've got forward sloping angle below it and then reverse above it, so it gives a really sleek, aggressive look. Big pop-up cleats, and then exactly the same walk around deck on this side. Now this long hardtop, one of the reasons for that is they also offer a hybrid option with solar panels all over this roof, so you've got a really big surface area to get some proper solar power to help charge the lithium batteries and give you a more extended cruising range under electric power. Now a couple of things to point out on this side. Got two big storage areas under here. One of those is for taking a crane, so it's actually a manual crane that you lift out of here, slot into this little mounting point here, and that enables you to lift a tender on and off that bathing platform. It is a manual system, but it does just make the whole thing much easier and means you don't have to have an ugly electric crane built into this deck here. We've also got some fridges under here. If you look, you've got one drawer fridge under that sunbed, not to mention a couple of massive subwoofer speakers and another fridge under there. Got this rather nice little aft-facing bench tucked away in the corner here, and over on this side there is a sink So you can wash your hands, particularly if you're mooring stern 2 in the Med. You'll often have to use a lazy line and get your hands dirty from pulling that up, and it just means you can wash your hands outside without having to go inside. We've got an ice maker in there, so you can keep your drinks nice and cool too. Here's that sun canopy, the other side of it. This hooks onto the back end of the hardtop, which extends quite a long way forward, and you'll notice we've got an angled sliding entrance door into the saloon itself. So access through into the saloon area. This is where you can start to see the effect of that wraparound reverse angle screen. Looks equally cool from inside. None of these side windows open, so it might feel a little bit warm, but of course there is air conditioning on board too. Just have a quick look at the layout. You'll see we've got a sort of mirror effect. We've got seating areas on both sides. These are high-low tables. We've put one all the way down just to show you. I don't know why you'd ever want it down, to be honest. It's not like they make up into day beds or anything. Perhaps more importantly, they can lift higher if you want to use it as a big party boat so that you can have your drinks at a slightly higher level. But just plenty of space to hang out inside or outside, particularly in hot countries when you've got the air conditioning on. It means there's a good space you can sit around and eat inside too. And then as you move forward on the main deck, we've got a split galley area. So on this side, just before we get there, I should point out, this one hasn't got it fitted, but you can have a high-low TV that emerges out of that work surface there. On this one, it hasn't been fitted, but you can see we've got the split galley here. We've got the 2-ring burner on that side. We've got a bit of storage space, the bins under there. Exactly the same over on this side, but on this side we've got an oven and a big sink with a pull-up tap under that kind of white marble worktop. Now spin the camera around, we start to see the helm position. The fridge for that galley, the main fridge, is actually in there. So as well as those 2 drawer fridges in the cockpit, you've got that inside, and then there's a technical space there. Helm position, you'll notice there's quite a lot of carbon fibre in this boat. So for example, the backs of these chairs are carbon fibre, the dashboard itself is carbon fibre. That is because although the deck, or the main hull, is GRP, the deck itself is carbon fibre. That's just to keep the weight down, give the maximum strength, maximum performance and efficiency, particularly with that foil system. The lighter the boat is, the more effective it's going to be. So you've got carbon fibre on the dash here, 2 big glass screens, so the whole thing is glass bridge. It's all flat surface, it's not sort of mounted in or on something, it's all integrated into the dash itself. We've got Sunreef Yacht's own bespoke software for all the systems. So this is the home page. You can see fuel and fresh water and house battery at an instant glance, but you can also switch on to the lights, onto the air conditioning system, show you what the batteries and generators are doing, the levels of all the tanks, technical engine room, AC chiller. You get the picture. It's all bespoke, and you have this rather nice little view of your boat as well. Then you've got the full Garmin chart plotter, just for the usual navigation and so on purposes. These are the main control systems. So this being an IPS boat, you have of course got joystick control for berthing it very nice and easily, and the usual Volvo throttles, as well as the main sort of fire stop for the buttons for stopping the engines, and the generator if you need to in a hurry. So very nice that they're all accessible rather than hidden away. We've also got thrusters, well, a bow thruster, so you can push the bow around without having to rely on the joystick. Now there is that view through that reverse angle windscreen. It is relatively low, but actually you get a pretty good view out over there as long as you haven't got the headrest up on the sunbed. And that is the view all the way around it, so you can see out the back too. Very nice, clean design. Now, cabins down below. This being a catamaran, you have of course got 2 relatively narrow hulls and a bridge deck linking them. But if we make our way down on the port side, this is the owner's cabin. Notice again, carbon fibre steps down. Now the cutout here is relatively limited in depth, so I have bumped my head once or twice coming up through this, but if you just lean back a little bit as you make your way down, and then there is actually a really cool cabin area here. I love the way they've done this. They've made the very most of the space. So we've got a little bench on the right hand side, the storage behind here. Now very cleverly, they've used the bridging deck to actually create the platform for the bed. So this is the hull itself coming around here, but because you've got that bridge deck linking the 2 hulls, they've put the bed on top of that, so you get plenty of space even though it's quite a long way forward. Got these lovely big hull windows, little opening port, letting in some fresh air. Very nice artificial lighting. It feels remarkably bright and spacious down here. And even the way they've done these steps, because they're sort of cut out, it feels relatively gentle and there's plenty of space. It's not like you're clambering up into bed. It all feels very mellow and surprisingly spacious for a catamaran. These hull windows stretch all the way down the side here, right into the ensuite bathroom, which again, they've cleverly used the shape of the hulls to maximize the space in here. So you'll notice the basin is inset over the top of that hull, even the heads itself, so carbon fibre toilet, and they've got a little cutout there, so it's literally just enough room to sit on the loo, tuck yourself in there nice and private, and then shower at the aft end, overhead style rain shower. But it all works very well. It's not a huge amount of volume, but because you've got all that length and they've used that clever bridge deck to good effect, it actually feels surprisingly comfortable. Now, similar arrangement on the other deck, but as this is the guest cabin, they've got a slightly different layout, and that is in order to make room for a crew cabin at the stern, and we'll have a little peek at that in a minute. But that means that they have got the loo tucked away in a separate little compartment here, and again, this will be the day heads for guests on board, so there is a door to that. You can close it off, and of course very easy access down that stairwell there. And then if I spin the camera around and move towards the main cabin area, you've still got these lovely hull windows, but the basin is tucked in this little corner here, again over the bridge deck, and the shower compartment is actually in here. So still plenty of space in there, but what it does do is just block the view so it doesn't feel quite as spacious in bed. The bed itself is exactly the same size. You still get that very nice artificial lighting and the big window over on the starboard side, and it is the same size, but just because of the fact that you've got the shower compartment sort of eating into space, it doesn't feel quite so open. Access to the crew cabin is under this starboard side seat. It swings up, so you've got quite a good access in there. It is a little bit messy at the moment because the boat's at the show, so they're using it for storage, but just to show that there is a separate loo in there and a bed in there. It's absolutely full of kit at the moment, and to be honest, on this size of boat most people use it for storage, but that is what's eating into the space and means that you've got that slightly smaller heads compartment in the guest cabin. Let's finish up this tour of the Sunreef Ultima 55 sitting on this foredeck area. Now, I've had a chat with the captain of this boat, and he says that that foiling system is really transformative. When you get up to about 16 knots, the whole boat lifts up, and not only does it become faster and more efficient, it also becomes more comfortable. Because it's lifted up, it sort of holds it. It acts like a sort of giant trim tab, and it almost locks it in that position. So suddenly the slamming and the pitching that you might get in big waves is completely gone. He says it's almost like flying, and it's the same when you're cornering. Rather than a sort of hard leaning turret, obviously it's not going to lean much in a catamaran anyway, but on this boat apparently it just feels like it's flying around in a lovely arc, almost like an aeroplane. So really interesting to hear that it does make a genuine difference, not just to the way it performs, but also the way it behaves. Now, with these engines, you should get a cruising range of about 250 nautical miles at a comfortable cruising speed of around 25 knots. But he says that even at sort of 16, 18 knots, that foil makes an enormous difference, that they were able to cruise at that kind of speed, and it was actually more comfortable at that speed in 2-meter waves than it was just trying to go in displacement mode at 10 knots. Now, prices for this boat, reasonably punchy, 2.7 million euros ex-taxes, but then it is quite an unusual, very fast, efficient, very cool looking boat. I'd love to know what you make of it in the comments. Do please let me know, and of course, as always, thank you very much for watching.